Okay students, I'm back and this is the second video for Chapter 2, and I'm going to give you a memory jogger which will help you to remember the debit and credit rules. Alright, what I've done, I've left up the accounting equation and the pluses and minuses, but I did erase some of what we had to give myself more room. And what I'm going to do right now is rearrange some of the accounting equation elements, and then I'll explain to you why I did that. Okay, on this side we have assets. We're not going to move that. Now remember, we said that the accounting equation was an algebraic formula, and as an algebraic formula we can move things from one side of the equation to the other simply by changing the sign. So what I want to do is to get rid of those minuses up there. So I'm going to move expenses to this side of the equation. So over here it's a plus. And I'm going to move the drawing to this side of the equation. And over here it is a plus. Now, those are the only two things I'm actually going to move from one side to the other. Let me go ahead and put the other elements in. We have liabilities. We have capital. And we have revenue. But one thing I am going to do here is to switch revenue and capital, and you'll see why in just a moment. Plus revenue, plus capital. So now we have the accounting equation in a different format, but we have not changed the equality of it in any way, because we changed the signs of the items that we moved to the other side. And we also have all pluses, which is easier to work with. Alright, I'm going to draw a line here to show the two sides of the equation, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in my T accounts, and we know that the left side of the T account is a debit, the right side is a credit. That's going to be true on both sides of the equation. The left side of the T account is a debit, the right side is a credit. Alright, if we look up there as to how the accounts are increased and decreased, we see that everything on this side, assets, expense, and drawing, are all increased with a debit and decreased with a credit. So everything on this side of the equation in this format is increased with a debit, decreased with a credit. Makes it a little bit easier, doesn't it? And over here, these haven't changed. Liabilities, capital, and revenue are increased with a credit, decreased with a debit. Okay, that's pretty easy. But what do you need, or how are you going to remember what's on each side of the equation? Okay, that's the memory jogger. All right, I'm going to take the first letter of each of these words. That will be A for assets, E for expenses, D for drawing, L for liabilities, R for revenue, and C for capital. And I'm going to make a silly phrase out of them to help me remember what's on each side of the equation. Okay? So, for assets, for the A, I'm going to say after. And here's my A. For expenses, I'm going to say eating. And here's my E. And for drawing, I'm going to say dinner. And here's my D. I'm going to go ahead and put the equal marks here because we are dealing with two sides of an equation. Over here, for the liabilities, I'm going to say let's. There's my L. And for the revenue, the R, I'm going to say read. There's the R. And for the capital, the C, I'm going to say comics. Or you could put a V in there and just put it in parentheses and not pronounce it. Okay, so after eating dinner, let's read the comics. Okay, it's a silly little phrase, but one that you'll probably remember. And after you remember the phrase, then you can take the first letter of each of the words and relate it to the account equation. Assets, A, assets, E, expenses, D, drawing, L, liabilities, R, revenue, and C, capital. And now you know why I switched capital and revenue. Alright? So that's your memory jogger. And Once you remember this, then you can remember that everything on this side of the equation, the A, the E, and the D, those accounts are increased with debits, decreased with credits, and everything on this side, the L, the R, the C, are increased with credits and decreased with debits. I hope that will help you to learn and to remember the debit credit rules. And in the next video, I will be talking about the proper format for the journal. That's all for now.